For those of you who have not heard of the casting table, it's usually a sideshow that we do here on Apocaflix Movies on our channel. We actually have a whole playlist. You can go see all of the past fan castings that we have done. It's basically a fan casting show, and we turned that conversation of film fans talking about movies and characters that we want to see played by our favorite actors and actresses, and we turned that into a show. I think it's one of the most fun things about being a film fan is choosing a character that you know about and deciding, hey, I would love to see this actor in this role. And even though, it's, yes, you want great talent in those roles, but sometimes it's more about fit. Like you want to get the right fit for that character. And sometimes we have our favorite actors that haven't had a big chance yet. So it's always fun. And it's really fun finding unique names to play these characters as well. Maybe it never happens, but it's always fun to discuss. So yeah, go check those out on our channel, Apocaflix Movies. And we're basically doing that today on the show. Fantastic Four. We know it's coming from Marvel. The movie has been announced. John Watts is directing it. And
there's even a logo.
We're assuming we are getting the classic four characters, Reid, Sue, Johnny, and Ben. And we're going to cast them today. So let's get to it. And I'm assuming we're going to run it how we usually run it on the casting table, right?
Yep. But obviously with the viewers, you guys can comment along with your picks. You can even reveal them the way that we're revealing them, and the way we do it on casting table typically is we start with our number one pick. That way, number one pick doesn't get picked right off the bat, because believe it or not, steals do happen in this show.
Wait, we're starting with number one?
Yeah, we start with number one, and typically sometimes there's a chance where Jacob and I may have the same number one, or my number one is his number two, or vice versa. And so we want to get our number ones out of the way, make sure we say our favorites and our number one picks in case they do get mentioned at some point later on in the round.
We should do like Jacob gets to be number one for Mr. Fantastic, and then someone else gets to be number one.
We can do that.
I think
four of them.
Yeah.
Jacob he'll randomize it.
Yeah, but I'll make sure that each of us gets to go first once. Yeah, so we're going to start with Reid Richards. Reid Richards is going to be our first one. Our first character that we're going to be choosing. So yeah, and steals have only happened a few times. Like it's happened less than a handful of times, I would say, like an actual big steal. And the reason why we name our number one first is so that, or somebody's number two isn't somebody's number one, because we don't want a steal to happen that way. If steal's going to happen, it has to be a number one for a number one.
We also want to make sure we're mentioned when we're doing this. We know that there's at least three people who are like miles above the rest as far as who they want to play these characters. I'm talking about John Krasinski as Reid, Emily Blunt as Sue, and Zac Efron as Human Torch. We have kept them out of this. We kept them out of this because everyone and rightfully so. I mean, if those three were leading the Fantastic Four movie with someone playing the Thing, I'm 100% on board. But because there's picked by so many people, we decided to bring them out of the equation, and we're going to choose others. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, that is a great.
Kind of made it more fun
thing to mention, because you guys are going to see we don't have Emily Blunt or John Krasinski as our choices, and people are going to be like, "What?"
Let's be honest. There are number one picks.
Yeah, I think all of us were.
I mean, I agree. I
feel like the Zac Efron one would be maybe a little bit, but those first two are like. Give it to me.
Yeah,
I already know who Jacob's going to pick as Human Torch, but that's okay.
Yeah,
what? You guys, come on now. You guys have no idea.
Jacob, you're so predictable. We know
have no idea.
We know what's coming.
No way. All right, so let's start with Reid Richards. I'm going to go to Brian. Brian, you get to choose your Reid Richards first, man. So
this is probably the one I wanted the least.
Exactly. I knew it.
Okay. I really went back and forth with this one.
You're revealing number one. Remember that. You're revealing number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went back and forth on my 1 and 2 because I was like, either one would be kind of interesting. I actually went for my Reid Richards, Charlie Hunnam.
I'm so happy someone said his name.
His name in general, or just him for Mr. Fantastic?
Just him in general. He's like, cast him in everything.
Yeah. I think he would be interesting. I think it would be a little bit different, but in a good way.
He's not your prototypical look for Reid Richards.
No, exactly. And I think he would be interesting. I loved him in The Gentleman. He was so good in that.
Underrated in King Arthur.
Yes. And I think like if he was in like a super mainstream thing like that, people would like want to check out all of his stuff that he does. I mean, obviously he's known for Sons of Anarchy the most. But yeah, that was my choice.
I like it because it's not your usual pick, right? He has blonde hair, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a very tall human being like a Reid Richards typically looks.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that's not like that big of a deal. Like look what Hugh Jackman did for the role of Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
But he's someone who's kind of been circling like a superhero role for a very long time. Like it's surprising he hasn't booked a superhero role yet, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm currently waiting on him for Oliver Queen, but
that's what I want the most.
That's one that a lot of people name.
Someone's echoing in the background, FYI. I don't know if someone has the video running or.
I don't think it's me.
Okay,
no.
Just checking.
But yeah, I mean, it's not my first choice, obviously, but it's something I never would have thought of. So that's pretty cool. And after, honestly, The Gentleman is his best performance ever, and that just means he's getting better as an actor. So I think he can do anything. Like, so I'd be down for that. I mean, it's something that's not expected from him, So I think that would be interesting.
It'd be a very different type of Reid Richards. He's like a suave swagger type of guy, right? He's like the ladies' man. That's not Reid. That is not Reid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would make him a little. Well, he would obviously have to play super intelligent, and I still think they would find a way to get the streaks in his hair, like somehow.
Oh, you have to. Something.
Yeah. Gio, any thoughts on Charlie Hunnam? Did you see that? Yeah.
I love Charlie Hunnam. I do, especially after The Gentleman. I mean, I will forever love that movie, and I can't wait for the sequel. But I just personally don't see it. So.
Yeah, it's not the greatest fit, but I just think he's such a good actor that he could do it.
And believe me, with my picks, you're gonna hear choices that you just can't see. So
yeah, so nothing wrong with that.
Be ready. Yeah,
and for a few of mine too, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, let's go to you for Mr. Fantastic Reid Richards.
Oh man, I have 3 number ones, and that hurts. That hurts because I want to mention all 3 of them so badly. I just don't know which order I want to do. I'm gonna go with the gentleman who has been in a lot of incredibly good small roles. One specifically that I talk about all the time. He's also been in a big movie for Disney, but what isn't actually seen for most of the movie. And that is Mr. Dan Stevens. Mr. Dan Stevens from The Guest played Beast in Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, he was in movies like The Night at the Museum, and he did Legion on FX. He's kind of like to people who know the film industry, people know him, right? They know his face, they know his work, but to the mainstream audience, they're not going to know who Dan Stevens is. So it gives him a chance to play the role and embody Reid Richards and let himself become this character rather than just see a face. The perfect, like the great example is a lot of the time, like we don't see Nick Fury, we see Sam Jackson, right? Like that's typically like what we go towards. We're not going to see Dan Stevens. We're going to see Reid Richards in that situation. And I just think that he's a guy who should be given so many opportunities. I think he's brilliant. And he's been circling big roles for a while, but hasn't really like cracked through yet. And honestly, he can play a lot of other roles. He can play a good villain. But I do think that him leading a Fantastic Four for Marvel will be really, really cool. And he's already been with the Disney family once before, so it kind of does make sense. But like I said, I have 3 number ones, but I think Dan Stevens out of the 3, because I like his work so much, would definitely be my number 1 pick.
Nice.
Wish I.
He's a great actor.
Love it. Wish I would.
If nobody's seen The Guest, go watch The Guest, please.
I still need to watch that.
I thought. Oh, never mind.
Wasn't Gio challenged to it?
I challenged Gio. Yeah.
I love that cast. Love Dan Stevens. He's fantastic. And if I would have thought of it, might have actually slipped that in there. So yeah, good choice.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen him in much because I haven't seen The Guest, so I've just seen him in a few other things. All right, Gio, let's go to you, man. Who is your Reid Richards in your mind?
So I only have one. I can only come up with one, and I really wanted to go outside of the box, like really outside of the box here, something that nobody would expect, but because it's Marvel, you're not going to question it. And so, in my mind, Reid Richards, if I were a casting director, I would pick Dev Patel from.
I love it.
From movies, indie movies such as Lion, Slumdog Millionaire, and Hotel Mumbai. Of course, his one blockbuster gig was The Last Airbender, but even people who dislike that movie say that he was actually pretty good in the role. And adaptations, all that other stuff, whatever. I'm talking about the performance. And so when I imagine Reid Richards, guy, scientist, prescription glasses, rolls his sleeves up, very dedicated to his work, I could definitely see Dev Patel in that role. And at 30 years old or a little under 30 years old, he could definitely pull off that role and deliver a great performance. So
he's another guy who has been in so many good smaller films, and then hasn't really he had that movie Lion a few years ago, I believe, where I got a lot of praise. He's in an upcoming movie called The Green Knight, I think.
Yep.
For A24 that people are losing their mind over. I think it's an adaptation of something. I could definitely see it. I could absolutely see it. That's a great choice. 100% a great choice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. Never would have crossed my mind, but the more I sit here, I'm like, that would be pretty cool. I'm not down. I'm not down for that one.
I love that choice, to be honest. I never would have thought of it in a million years. And I think that's my favorite one so far. That is really good. I think because, obviously you have to have, to me, I imagine Reid Richards standing in a room with Doctor Strange and with Tony Stark, but not anymore, obviously, if you did it in the MCU, and just they're going back and forth and just having these philosophical debates. And I could totally see him doing that. That would be pretty cool.
Before we get to our number twos, real quick, I do want to bring up a couple comments for their fan casting. Real quick, Brian Nussbaum here. Fan cast for the 4. Dwayne Johnson is a thing. Dan Stevens and Mr. Fantastic. Boom.
There we go.
Mara Weaving, as Sue Storm, which is an incredible choice. And we'll get to next. And then Taron Egerton as the Human Torch. And the next one. Yeah. Go ahead, Gio. Or go ahead, Jacob.
I like Samara Weaving a lot. That's a good choice.
Yeah. And the next one here from Maxwell. Raul Cooley as Mr. Fantastic, Samara Weaving as Sue Storm, Paul Walter Hauser as the Thing, and Joe Keery from Stranger Things as the Human Torch. Love it.
Nice.
Those
are good ones.
I will comment on a few of those.
Me too.
All right. So here's I haven't named my number one choice for Reid Richards yet. And honestly, I literally during this show, I've been switching them back and forth. I can't decide my top 3, but I'm going to go with my one, because I was watching Infinity War last night, and I was thinking about the casting of Chris Pratt, and I was like, you wouldn't think of him for that role prior to him getting it.
I know where you're going.
I'm not sure, but then I was like, it's really nice to have somebody who can carry that comedic weight in a film, and especially when you have all this other stuff going on. So for me, and I think he'd pull off the look so well, is Jason Sudeikis.
Yep,
I would love Jason Sudeikis as Reid Richards. Look up a picture of him. You put the streaks in his hair, and look, obviously he's primarily a comedic actor, but he's a pretty good actor in his own right. And I think if you have him to carry on that Marvel humor, that's kind of the DNA of each film. But then also, I think it would be a cool challenge for him to play the intelligent part of Reid Richards. So I settled on Jason Sudeikis out of my guys. So yeah, that's my choice.
I like it. I mean, I wouldn't not be disappointed if it came out and said, we're going to cast Jason Sudeikis in this role. It's very similar to what they did with Paul Rudd. It's exactly what they did with Paul Rudd, right?
Paul Rudd too.
It's a very similar situation where they added a comedic actor to a role that maybe you didn't see fit, but then they worked into the universe the right way, and maybe they're just going to go a different way with Reid Richards. And
and he kind of already has the streak starting in his hair in real life.
True.
So
that's true. And he's married to he's divorced to a now filmmaker, Olivia Wilde, who can wiggle her way into a Marvel movie.
Yeah, and I haven't watched Ted Lasso.
She's Spider-Woman's.
I haven't watched Ted Lasso.
Oh, that's right.
I've heard Ted Lasso is amazing.
It's incredible.
I haven't watched it yet, but if he has that show, it's like Apple Plus's #1 show, I think. And he has that show. I think that would help him get this kind of role, So yeah, that's my choice.
Matt Thomas here, Taron Egerton for his pick, surely on the fact that he ultimately would go with probably a younger, so they want someone around their 30s. All my other picks go with that logic, which does make sense.
No, that's a good point. I almost went against Sudeikis because he's 45, but I'm thinking, is he really going to be doing any physical action? No, it's Mr. Fantastic we know his power set. The actor himself is not going to be doing the action. It's kind of like Iron Man, like you just stand there, you do the facial expressions and you talk. So I think anyone could really do it. All right, Brian, let's go real quick. Who's your backup choice for Reid Richards?
My backup choice for this one, again, a little bit unconventional for this one. I went more for the serious route on this one, and I went for Garrett Hedlund in this one.
He's so good.
He'd be
great.
I think he would be kind of like a one you wouldn't expect, but like would end up being like a pretty solid choice, especially if
just look at him in Tron. He's legendary. So,
well, and I'm thinking more of like the serious side of him, like maybe doing stuff. I think it'd be kind of dope. I like it.
You should watch him in Four Brothers. He's great in that movie. He's great in Friday Night Lights. He's great in Mudbound. Yeah. There's a lot of good movies that he's in, but he's legendary in Tron. So.
Yeah, that's who I thought you were saying, because literally everything you were saying, he
really?
Everything.
I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it, but it'd be a really big thing for him to book, obviously, because we haven't seen much of him.
Yeah, honestly, if he was still acting, the one that came to my mind too was Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, he's good too. He would have been great 10 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, Garrett Hedlund was my number 2.
Nice.
Awesome. That's a good choice. All right, Jake, did you settle on one number 2?
I settled on one number 2, and it was, I think it was ultimately between 2. I do want to mention the third, but my number 2 has already been mentioned. That's Raul Cooley. Raul Cooley, I think, is a great, incredible choice. And honestly, if we were to do this tomorrow, he might be my number 1 if we were having this conversation all again tomorrow. I think that he is someone who is just on the cusp of like really breaking through into getting a major role. He's obviously part of the Haunting of Bly Manor, that series with Mike Flanagan, which he was great in. He's been rumored a lot for someone like to play Ezra. So maybe he's already in with the Disney family a little bit. But I think that what he's able to do in the Bly Manor show, plus his other work, I think that he could really, really pull off Reid Richards really well. There's actually already a fan casting possibility, or a picture of him, that people have already done, and he looks incredible as the character. And just quickly, I do want to mention Zachary Quinto, Spock himself from Star Trek.
Oh, nice. That would be a great choice. And Gio, you said you didn't.
Threes, because what if you steal someone else's?
Gio, you didn't have a backup, you said?
No, I was trying to look right now and see if there was a late edition. I mean, hell, Daniel Radcliffe, maybe. Why not? Yeah,
I mean, I'd be down for that. I'm always rooting for that guy to get some other roles outside of the wizarding world. So my guy who was my number 1, like before the show started, I don't know if a lot of people know who he is, but his name is Matthew Good.
Yep.
I love this actor. The first thing I seen him in, it was Match Point, the Woody Allen film, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was actually in Watchmen.
The Imitation Game?
Yeah, Imitation Game. If you guys remember that movie Leap Year with Amy Adams, he was the romantic interest in that. And he's still kind of young. He's been acting for a long time, and he's still in his 30s. So I think he would be my prototypical like choice, like a very safe choice for me would be Matthew Good.
That's a good one. I like that one too.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we talked Jake out of giving him images, so that way we are actually.
They didn't see it because I deleted the message.
Oh, fair. Well,
I was wondering about that too because it takes away Jake being surprised from the choice.
Yeah,
we did that.
he
Yeah,
literally 5 seconds before he did that.
I wanted to show the people, man.
it would be cool though because like if people are like, "Wait, who's Matthew Good?" Then we could show an image, you know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But you get the fun reactions out of Jake. He's never surprised for anything because he gets to plan everything. But whatever.
Yeah. Hey, Google 5 seconds. Matthew Good. There we go. All right. So we're gonna jump to Jake for Sue Storm. Jake, you get to kick us off with Sue Storm.
No, don't give him Sue Storm.
Okay. Sue Storm was the one that I had the toughest time with because I literally have.
Jake has literally.
I have a list of 9 for Invisible.
That does not surprise me.
I'm not revealing them all, obviously, but these are all women that I could easily think to play this character. And it's it's so hard. All right, I'm gonna go with my gut, and this is someone who has really shown up lately, and it comes from my love of a specific franchise, but then she transferred into another cool franchise recently. That is Vanessa Kirby. Vanessa Kirby. She's from Mission Impossible Fallout, and then she was also in Hobbs and Shaw. And by the looks of Gio, it looks like I might have just taken his pick. Vanessa Kirby, she did a great job in Mission Impossible, and she'll be back in the next one. But she really showcased what she was able to do in Hobbs and Shaw. And you can think whatever you want about Hobbs and Shaw, the movie. As far as her performance goes, she was my favorite part of the movie. She also did a Netflix film recently. I'm excited to see what else she does. She's also in The Crown. So she's been around for a little bit, but I think Vanessa Kirby would be an incredible choice for this role. I don't know her age, so I don't know how that lines up exactly. But I was kind of going off a look and someone who can do action because obviously Invisible Woman is involved in that pretty much.
I think she was just nominated for an Oscar too.
Yeah, I believe it's that Netflix film.
Pieces of a Woman, I believe.
Yeah, the Netflix film. Yeah. And so, Vanessa Kirby for me, I think that she'd be a killer choice. And out of my 9, she ranks in at number 1 for me.
That is a pretty good choice. I haven't seen her in much, but I mean, she's obviously talented. If she was just nominated for an Oscar, I'm looking at her. She could definitely pull off Sue Storm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Gio, was that your choice?
Yeah. So I'll just go off of what Jake said.
And, I was going to go to you next anyway, Gio.
I completely agree with Jake. You know, another English actor or actress that I'm picking. But she has all the talent. She's it. She could be what I was expecting from, others like Rebecca Ferguson and Jennifer Lawrence, as far as like, the next big action actress, star, whatnot. I think Vanessa Kirby is it. She is in 2 franchises right now with Hobbs and Shaw and Mission Impossible, and so I think she is a hot commodity right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's getting offers left and right from everyone.
Nice.
Solid.
All right, so I'll go ahead and go with my choice, and this is pretty predictable for me, actually, if you guys know. I'm going with Lily James as my...
I didn't mention her, or I didn't have her on the list because I knew for a fact Jacob was going to bring her up.
As my Invisible Woman. And she is one of my favorite actresses working today. I bring up Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies when you want to look at her as an action star. She kicks ass in that movie. So good. And she's a great actress. I mean, we've seen her in a bunch of stuff. Baby Driver, obviously. I just watched her in the remake of Rebecca, which wasn't great, but she was great in it.
She was just in a new Netflix film with Ralph Fiennes called The Dig, and Carey Mulligan. She's also in that. She's really good.
Nice. And to me, I don't know. When I think of Sue Storm, I think of elegance for some reason. And then when I think of Lily James, I think of elegance.
Are you saying my pick isn't elegant?
No, it is. It definitely is. I'm just not as familiar with.
Let me run through my other 8 and see if you think.
No.
but yeah,
he would if you let him.
If she was cast as Sue Storm, I would be very, very happy.
I would not disagree with that choice at all.
Yeah, and I believe her and Vanessa Kirby are around the same age. They're early 30s. So I mean, it doesn't really matter. They look young, so it doesn't matter. All right, Brian, who's your Sue Storm?
I am so excited no one stole mine. I actually kind of planned my team around her a little bit. Nice. I chose Blake Lively as my Invisible Woman.
Okay.
I think she would be kind of dope to have as the Invisible Woman.
Well, she was going to be Starfire if they did a Green Lantern too. So,
will her and Deadpool ever cross paths if they cast her?
Sure, why not?
They would have to.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
They would have to.
I could just see her like doing the like force field and the bubble and using projection and stuff. Like, oh god, the more I kind of was like imagining it, I was like, Emily Blunt's pretty cool, but like Blake Lively would be kind of cool as well. But yeah, no, I actually think Blake Lively would be kind of a dope, because I don't want her to get casted as like Rachel McAdams' character, where it's just like she's there. Well, because I honestly would probably put Rachel McAdams in this conversation if she was not that one. So I would much rather see Blake Lively as like a main person, because I don't think she gets her due in Hollywood. She has some great stuff. I mean, Simple Favor is fantastic, but I think she would be awesome in some type of team up movie. I would love it.
If she got casted, you need to make Sue Storm have a crush on Hugh Jackman, so whenever Deadpool does show up, they have a bicker match.
I had for just a little bit, I was like, should Hugh Jackman be my Mr. Fantastic?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how funny would that be if Deadpool meets Mr. Fantastic and it's Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
Or Hugh Jackman lookalike.
And if they did that, I would want to see, Invisible Woman to fight Deadpool just for like one scene.
I would just want to see her like put him in a bubble and just like throw Deadpool like.
Yeah, because he's gonna live. I mean, he's gonna live. So it's like just throw him miles away. See what happens.
Yeah, that would be cool. And really, Sue Storm is one of the major female superheroes in Marvel. Like I would argue she's top 3 as female.
She's very, very high up there for sure.
Yeah, so she's pretty big. So
before we get to our twos, let me go and bring on our 5th member, because he is here. Mr. Keith Barnes is with us. What's up, Keith?
Hi, Keith.
What's up, buddy?
What's happening? What's going on, guys? I'm here.
So Keith, we're on Sue Storm. We'll get to your Mr. Fantastic. That way we just stay on track real quick. We'll get to your Mr. Fantastic towards the end, since we already did it. Why don't you reveal your number 1 before we move on to number 2s?
Okay, my number 1 is I did a little gimmicky thing here. So I wanted to pair my Sue Storm with Johnny Storm. And my number 1 is Aya Cash.
Oh,
yes.
For those of you who don't know, she played Stormfront in The Boys.
In The Boys, yes. And
nice.
Yeah.
Very great. She already played the superhero role,
right?
Yeah. And wait, her for Sue Storm?
Yeah.
Yes. Gio?
Well, I haven't seen her in anything else, so I just think of her as the character in The Boys.
I mean, if you want us to hate her, like the moment we see her on screen, yeah.
She's not actually that person, Gio.
I know.
Yeah, I think she'd be great. She's got a lot of personality, and she seems you're right. This is probably the biggest thing we know her for. Anybody would really know her for is The Boys, but I'd like to see her star. I think is on the rise, man. We may not have seen the last of her, to be honest, in The Boys. Maybe, spoiler. No, it's not spoiler. I don't think, but I think she'd be great. Be a great role. It was real close with my second choice, but she goes with my Johnny Storm. So I'll get to that when we get there. But Aya Cash.
Who's your Mr. Fantastic?
Oh, you want to do that now? Okay. Well,
we already did. Well, we already did it. So
yeah, I know, but okay. Well, okay. My top choice was Brandon Routh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's again.
Oh my God.
Very
That's
close
kind
to
of
my,
perfect,
to my,
to be honest.
my number two.
He has the freaks in Legends of Tomorrow.
Right, exactly right. You know, he played a real smart guy on that as well, so we know he can do that. Obviously, he's got superhero experience. Didn't really get, you know, whatever anybody thinks is wrong with Superman Returns. It wasn't him, you know. So he's a pretty decent actor, man, and I think he'd be a great Reid Richards. I really do. So that was
Damn
the
it,
first guy I
Keith.
thought.
Why you got to come in with the best choice, man? That honestly, that is great.
Maybe best choice to you, but not to
That
me.
is great.
Yeah, what are you
Me.
talking
I
about?
don't know what you're talking about.
I would love
real
to
quick,
see him redeemed as.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'd love to see him get another shot. So,
couple comments here from some people watching. Selvin here. John David Washington as Mr. Fantastic. Lily James as Sue Storm. There you go, Jacob. Taron Egerton as Human Torch. We've seen a lot of that tonight. And Laz Alonso as the Thing. Bonus, Cillian Murphy as Dr. Doom. Ooh. And then there were a couple more here. Let's see. I had to Google Isaac. Oh, that's another comment from somebody else. Here we go. John Pierce said Isa Gonzalez. She was in Baby Driver as well. Olivia Cook here from Matt Thomas, sticking with the young guns that he's been throwing out there. She was in Ready Player One recently. That's where you might recognize her. And Rachel says Natalie Emmanuel. Obviously, Game of Thrones famous in the theater franchise. She'd be a good choice too.
Selvin, one of your names is on my list. I'm not going to say which one. But very close to him. So we'll get to that.
Alrighty, so let's run some honorable mentions real quick for Sue Storm. Go back to you, Jake.
Oh man, let's see my list of 9.
You get one. And don't say I would have had maybe number 3.
Which one am I gonna pick? Well, let's see. I can cross Lily James off the list. Let me just go and erase her real quick. Okay, my number 2. I'm gonna go. So I almost went with someone who had already been mentioned in the comments, but I'm not gonna go with her just yet. I do think that she'd be perfect. And I want to go with someone from Vikings, but I'm not going to go with someone from Vikings.
Of course. A Vikings actor always makes it on Jake's list.
Yes.
She'd be perfect for the role, you guys. Anyway, I'm going to go with Mackenzie Davis. Mackenzie Davis. She was recently in Terminator Dark Fate. She was actually probably the best part of Terminator Dark Fate. I first watched her in Halt and Catch Fire on AMC. And she was also in The Martian with Matt Damon. And then she was just recently in a Hulu film with Kristen Stewart, like Holidays or At the Holidays or something. I don't know what the title of the film is, but I watched it. It was really, really good. She has obviously proven that she can do action. She has obviously proven that she can do action. She kicked an immense amount of ass in Terminator Dark Fate. And from what I saw of her in Halt and Catch Fire, she's incredibly good at drama acting as well. And you combine the two of them, it fits really, really well. She's a physical actor. She looks like Sue Storm. She's a little bit taller typically, but that doesn't mean you can't use her. And she's on the younger side, so you can use her for a very, very long time. And it also pairs really well with Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens and Mackenzie Davis, to me, would be a really cool pairing as Reid Richards and Sue Storm. And I honestly want to see Mackenzie Davis just given a lot more of love in the film industry. And she got a bad rap because Terminator Dark Fate wasn't that good. Obviously, Terminator movies are kind of poo-poo lately, but I think that if she's given a chance, she can really strive and make something of the role. And so I'm all on board for Mackenzie Davis' Sue Storm. The happiest season. Thank you, Selvin. The happiest season. There you go.
Are you sure you don't want to keep going?
I mean, I can keep reading them off.
God.
Wait, no, he's going to steal our backups.
Look at all of them.
Gio, who was your backup?
Another English actress, Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones.
Ooh,
She does not get enough work in Hollywood, in my opinion. Enough roles. Every time she was on screen on Game of Thrones, it was like a scene stealer, almost, in my opinion. And yeah, she's around the same age as Emily Blunt, so don't give me that age thing. And I think she'd be a good choice. So
she has a great voice. I like her.
Love her.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Keith, you got a backup for Sue Storm?
Oh, how dare you?
My backup is a little different, but I don't think we've seen her do action. But My second choice was Aubrey Plaza.
Interesting.
Known obviously more for comedy, but she is a pretty decent dramatic actress.
I love
and
her.
does a lot of smaller stuff that nobody really sees. But I think she could. That'd be interesting. I don't want her to don't do the blonde hair and blue eyes thing. Just let her be.
No, yeah,
And just she's just whatever. Because she's Latina. Yeah, I think she's a better actress than I think people really probably expect from her. But she's got the. I think she can do. There's a lot of comedic actors, like her. Like they could do serious well, and it just doesn't have to be that serious, right? I mean, she can play. There can be some. She can obviously whatever jokes or whatever levity, whatever the word is, there can be levity. She could do it, so it doesn't have to be super deadpan serious. With deadpan is her thing, but I think she'd be good. And the action, look, I mean, she's not necessarily going to be punching too many people. She's shooting, invisible force fields at people.
She's just going to be moving her hands around.
A lot. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, a lot of hands.
It's not Black Widow action,
right? So you could train anybody to do any of that stuff. So, but I think she'd be really good.
Not the typical choice for Sue Storm, but I love Aubrey Plaza, so you get no complaints from me. All right, so I've actually mentioned this actress several times in the casting table. Again, typical, but I would love this if they actually did it. And she's one of my favorite actresses right now. Is Gugu Mbatha-Raw. I love this actress. She was in one of probably my favorite movie of hers is called Belle. It's look it up. It's a really good movie. And then she was also in. She was in Concussion with Will Smith. She was in that stupid Cloverfield Paradox movie. But she is a great actress. I love her, and I think she could definitely pull off the look. And I basically, if Lily James was my Sue Storm, I have my Human Torch is going to match with that Sue Storm. But I have a Human Torch that will match with Gugu Mbatha-Raw as well, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, she would be. I mean, I would almost put her above Lily James, but I really love Lily James. So yeah, that's my choice, and she has the craziest name in Hollywood. Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Yeah, she's great. I like her. Good choice.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's get to our. Oh, also, Gio's going to tell you a little bit about.
Wait, did Brian reveal you
right? God, I don't matter.
Oh, my bad. I thought we went Brian first. Brian, so sorry. Who's your backup for Sue Storm?
This guy. Mine is quick. It's already been said. I have Samara Weaving as my backup.
Oh, nice.
She was my number 3. Yeah,
we don't care. You have 9 other ones.
I can say that she was my number 3.
Yeah, I really like her. Honestly, I think she's definitely on the rise for sure.
Jake, why do you have 9? You have 9 choices for Sue Storm.
No, you missed. Well, you missed the beginning. I said that I wrote down 9, and I was naming women that I think could play the role.
Right?
She's 9.
Right? We needed 2 max, 3 at most. It's 9.
I was thinking, man, I did 2 of each now. Do I need to get like several more? I don't know.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, we'll just do 10 each next time. There we go.
Okay.
And no stills. We all have to make sure none of them are the same. So 50 actors.